Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hot Seat with Cognizant Clay. I am your host, Clayton Terrio. Today on the show, we have Mark and Alex Starratt. Mark and his wife are the founders of the Starrett Family Foundation. It was founded to raise awareness and funds for neuromuscular conditions and to make the world more accessible to those with disabilities. Alex is 12 years old and is diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. I hope you guys enjoy it. So, to start off, how are you guys doing today?
Fantastic, yeah.
It's good. It's good to hear. It's a little different this last year with COVID, but I think we're all sick of it, but we're maintaining. And so I will just be asking both of you some questions and just answer to the best of your ability. And Mark, I will start with you and then go to Alex and then back to you and then so and so. So just to start off, I'm going to start with your Paralympic stuff, Mark. So you were a director of the Paralympic Foundation of Canada from 2015 until 2019. And I'm just curious, how did that opportunity come about for you?
It was interesting. So in Calgary, I had been involved a little bit on some of the very, very early meetings when it came to the Olympic bid in Calgary. And one of the exciting benefits of that is I got to meet two really wonderful people that happened to be former presidents of the Paralympic Foundation of Canada and the Paralympic Committee, Dr. David Legg and Pat Jarvis. And both of them, when they heard about our family and we got to know each other, really encouraged me to join the board of the Paralympic Foundation, which had just been relaunched to support not only accessibility to all sports, but also to support some of our shining lights when it comes to athletes around the country.
Wow, that's awesome. And what kinds of things were you responsible for as the director?
Well, I mean, really, the whole board was focused on trying to build community and build financial capacity for the foundation. So we had board members across the country, and our mandate was to try to tell the story of what it meant to be a Paralympian and highlight some of the stories and look to gain funding to help make their journey easier. And an unintended consequence is how the grassroots of some of these sports start, because you don't grow up one day being an Olympian or Paralympian. It starts in being involved in sport at a very young age, and having more access to programs is something that the Paralympic Foundation of Canada was really supportive of.
Definitely. And I've noticed the last few Paralympics how much it really has improved, like sell out buildings and everything. And it really is cool to see it sort of evolve because in my opinion, the Paralympics should be held at the same time as the Olympics because there's really no difference. I mean, it's impressive all the way through. And what are some of your favorite memories from your time with the Paralympic Canada?
Well, I mean, whenever you have the Paralympics themselves, come whether it's a summer or winter, probably my fondest memory is sitting and watching in our basement next to this guy, the gold medal game of the para ice hockey, formerly known as sledge hockey. And there's a debate of whether the players love the new name or not, but they're getting used to it. But we had to actually live stream because it wasn't being covered on Canadian television. And so to see that exciting game that went from, what was it, a tie?
Yeah, that OT, yeah. Canada, US.
We missed a post of an empty net, and then they came back and score to tie and then win in overtime was an exciting moment.
Definitely.
And then getting to know some of the athletes over the years that played on that ice and were not only disappointed, but have so many huge successes before and since. It's really exciting to know the people behind the moments.
Definitely. And Brad Bowden was one of my favorite interviews. He's a rather famous Canadian sledge hockey player, para ice hockey, if you will, but it was just cool. It's cool to talk to them and just listen to the process that's involved and how they got into it and so on. And it's really cool. And so Alex, so you were born with type 2 spinal muscular atrophy. And as a young man with that condition, what kinds of challenges are you faced with?
I don't know. For me, it's like just everyday stuff, like being in a wheelchair, not being able to pick up stuff from the floor, walk, uh, not walking, everything that comes with that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just everyday stuff that I'm used to now that I don't know how it could be different.
Right. And I feel the same way living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's like, it is what it is. You're going to have to deal with what you have and just stay as positive as you can. And who are some of the people in your life that help you the most to stay positive?
Probably Devin, you, Daddy, and Mummy mainly.
Who's Devin?
Devin, how would I explain you? I don't know.
He's sitting off to the side here. He's one of Alex's aides that has been with our family for more than 4 years. And not only Devin, but all the other aides that have helped our family and helped specifically Alex are there's a special place in our heart for them.
Definitely. And I live I'm 28 now, so I live on my own, but the PSWs that have helped me over the years, you kind of gain an appreciation for the job and become friends with them. And it's really cool that, they're willing to help disabled people. And it's great to have that relationship with them. And Alex, if you could teach someone one thing about SMA, what would you tell them?
That's no different than normal. Like, there are some, I guess, side effects, but I like thinking of them as differently abled rather than disabled or something like that.
Exactly. And there's things we can do that others can't as well. Like able-bodied people can't really relate, and it's up to us to teach them. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Alex, is you were in the Canadian Tire first skate commercial with the sledge hockey. It was a young boy trying sledge hockey for the first time. What was your favorite part about being in a commercial?
To be honest, probably talking to the assistant director, I think it was, and saying, because the Flames and the Canadians were playing that night, and I said Flames are going to win 4-0, and the Flames won 4-0.
Oh wow, there you go. Good prediction. That's awesome to hear. And how did that opportunity come about to be in that commercial?
I think it was
it was through my sledge hockey group.
Yeah, through the Sledge hockey group on Facebook. Somebody had posted, and my wife, Alex's mom, Jen, saw it and passed it over to me for the opportunity, and did a couple of interviews over Zoom because the director, I think, was down in the States at the time. But they liked his look, I guess, and how he answered the questions, and the rest became history.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's an awesome commercial, and it was on quite a bit during the World Juniors and gives you a little bit of bragging rights, so that's good. And so I'm going to do my famous rapid fire section, and for each question, I would please like an answer from both of you. So to start off, who is your favorite person from Alberta?
Oh my goodness.
It's always a hard one.
Go first. But...
I don't know.
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And we've watched all of these, Clayton. So the fact that we're surprised and don't have something off the top of our head is really disappointing because all the other answers are good.
Yeah.
I would say, and it's going to be a cop out in terms of it's not a famous person, but
That's fine.
I think there's a lot of people in the community here in Calgary that I've looked up to in my professional career. And some of the people that are just really good community builders that I would, and if I name one, then all of a sudden everybody else will get upset with me. But it's not a famous person. I'd say there's just a lot of great community leaders in Alberta and in Calgary that are putting everybody before their own needs, I guess. And I admire that.
Yeah, so pretty much every community leader. I like that. That's a good answer. Alex, do you have one or?
Not really.
Any famous hockey players or anything like that
I
you
guess
love?
the only person that comes to mind that's on the Flames that's from Alberta is Derek Ryan, but
Yeah, Derek Ryan, that's a good one. I like that. I like that. I like the hockey theme. And for both of you, what is your favorite thing to eat each?
it varies between chicken wings and steak, definitely.
Yeah, I share both of those. We're a big chicken wing eating family.
Yeah.
Yeah, any sports fan needs to like chicken wings. I think it's a contractual obligation. And for each of you, what is your favorite movie?
Well, I'm recently watching the MCU movies, so I might be a little like, yeah, those are better just because I recently watched them, but huge fan of the MCU, Star Wars, Harry Potter stuff, but probably right now would be Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's a good one. And Mark, what about you?
Yeah, Alex says we spend a lot of time watching movies, and Alex prefers to watch them in the order that they happen in real life.
Yeah.
And so whether
Real
it was
timeline.
Harry Potter or Star Wars, I would say probably the last Harry Potter movie is probably one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Long but good, and it's hard to make a movie good that's that long as well. So there's that. So sticking with the MCU theme here, what for each of you as well? Who is your favorite superhero in the Marvel universe?
I've been asking you that, and you're like, stop asking me that. Probably currently Spider-Man, but yeah.
And I would say Captain America for me. I really like
That's a good one.
the values and the superhero abilities.
Definitely. Iron Man's mine. I've always liked Iron Man. He's like the Elon Musk of comic books, so I like that about him. And Alex, so I know this is always an easy question for someone who's in their preteens, but what would you like to be when you grow up? I mean, you can give a few careers that you might want to do if you want.
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't really have any. Few that have popped up is like sports analysis, because I know a lot about really all types of team sports. Maybe like something to do with movies or writing. I don't know.
That'd be cool. Journalism was mine when I was that age, and I ended up going into it, not finishing the program, but here I am doing podcasting, which is basically journalism. So there you go. And the last one, which always seems to be the hardest, and again, for each of you, if you could be anyone living or dead for 24 hours, who would you choose? I'd be Wayne Gretzky in the 80s, I can tell you that much.
I liked your Elon Musk answer before. Somebody like a Bill Gates or an Elon Musk, just one of those visionaries that has the ability to do whatever she or he wants to do, but also realizes how much impact they can have. And in one day, I could help change and benefit a lot of things, I think.
Yeah, and those are good ones because they're both self-made. They came from pretty much nothing too. So, Alex, do you have one, or is that a little too hard? You can say hockey player, actor, whatever.
A hockey player, that would be the only thing. A hockey player or fictional character would be mine. So.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And well, the cabbie. I remember. I don't know if you guys watched Cabbie's interview, but he said any athlete that's won a championship from the start of the day to the end of the day. And I thought that was a very cool answer. That was one of my favorites, but there's really so many people you can pick. I think it's a mood thing. So just back into the questions a bit. So I really wanted to touch on this because this is not necessarily unique, but only a few guests have been this kind of person. And Mark, so you and your wife founded the Starrett Family Foundation in 2013, I believe.
Yes.
And that was to raise awareness and funds for neuromuscular conditions, as well as make the world more accessible. And how did it come about that you started that foundation?
Well, it was interesting. And so this would have been in the spring of 2013. And Alex had just been diagnosed. So he wasn't diagnosed at birth. It was a couple of years into.
5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? I thought I was 3 when I was diagnosed.
Yeah. And so it started out shortly after his diagnosis. And what I like to say is that we kind of went through this dark period where we're questioning things and sad and things like that, and quickly transitioned to how we realized that as a family, we were so fortunate to be in the position that we are in. That we were blessed to be able to, if Alex needed something, we had the ability to make things happen, to make life easier for him. But so many people throughout our country or around the world don't have that same opportunity. And so we quickly said, how can we make it so that those that are born or are diagnosed with a neuromuscular condition or disease, how can they experience some of the same opportunities that we have? So it shouldn't matter whether you're diagnosed or born in a city or town in whatever province throughout the country. And so we've worked hard to try to enhance research, enhance education, to kind of make those opportunities and that knowledge translation happen from coast to coast.
Definitely, and it's awesome to hear you did that. And what are some of the things, like with COVID, how has that affected the foundation itself?
Well, in our biggest, our fundraiser once a year is we used to have a poker tournament where we'd have 80 to 100 people in our home and raise a bunch of money in one night and have a bunch of fun and great food and things like that. And so this past spring, we've not been able to do it, and we're wondering out loud whether we're going to be able to do it this spring again. And so you learn to think about things differently. And so we're very fortunate to have some wonderful network of people and organizations that we've been working with and talking with over the past few years. And so it's about thinking about things differently. What we do know is that, whether it's at the end of the year here or in the summertime, just getting random checks in the mail that said, hey, we love the work you're doing, was just thinking of you. There's so much of a need. And this just isn't just about what we're doing, but charities across the country, right? During a pandemic or during a time of economic weakness that comes from a pandemic, there's a lot of people in need, right? So we have to think of inventive ways to keep pushing forward and trying to continue to make an influence and make things matter.
Definitely, and that's why I started the podcast is COVID, and it kind of became apparent that, you know, disabled people, there's still a lot of work to do for awareness and fundraising for certain disabilities that, you know what, I should start something. And I'm so happy I did, because I've met so many amazing people. I think this is episode like 36 or something, which is quite a lot since April. It's been busy, but it's been a lot of fun. And with the foundation, who are some of the main people who have helped and supported you along the way?
Well, I think it starts with our board. So a few years into our foundation, we decided to take it from not just a family entity or a family vehicle, but trying to bring some of those community leaders that I talked about earlier to provide proper governance. It also provided some great network to be able to get into some rooms and to make some wonderful impact. And then I think about things like, obviously we've supported the Paralympic Foundation of Canada in the past. There's some wonderful children's hospital foundations and programs that are going on. And it's just amazing that this platform, this foundation, has allowed us to meet so many interesting people. It's also enabled us, and I know some of your earlier podcasts, Clayton, were with some of the medical professionals that have guided you over the years. And that's one of the benefits that we've seen in the friendships of some of these wonderful frontline workers or specialists that deal with kids and families and adults of some of these neuromuscular diseases year in, year out. And without them, my goodness, I'd wonder where we would be in our country if we didn't have people like that helping and guiding and researching and coming up with potential treatments and things like that.
Definitely. And Mark Tarnopolsky, my neuromuscular specialist, is just, what a smart person. Like, I've listened to his podcast with with other doctors, and it's like they're speaking a different language. They're so smart and so advanced in what they do that it's like, how do you remember all this? Like it really is quite impressive. And what are some of your favorite memories from the foundation so far?
I mean, the part of it is the social, so that everybody getting together for a common cause and the feeling great at the end of the night of having accomplished raising $60,000 in one evening is a pretty special feeling. And then the flip side of that is when you get to write the checks. When you investigate and hear about the programs, the researchers, the institutions that are doing great work across the country, and you're able to make connections into that and write a check. And then after you write the check, the world it's not over, right? You get to see what they do with it. I remember the first gift from our foundation was to the Canadian Neuromuscular Disease Registry. So this is an organization across Canada made up of all the top neuromuscular clinicians and specialists and basic scientists. And their job is to put together, Clayton, yours or Alex's experiences of what it's like to live, what's the data. And so it helped to prepare for drugs that have now come onto the market. We're at a time with SMA or DMD where they just weren't there. And now we're at a point where we're trying to make them accessible to different families and to different people. And so I think the Neuromuscular Disease Registry, and one of our closest friends is the founder of that now, Dr. Lawrence Corngut. And the relationships and the friendships that come out of that is just amazing.
Definitely. And I will be interviewing him at some point, obviously with COVID. With COVID, he doesn't have the time, but he had said, like, whenever this ceases, whenever, the cases start to drop again, he would be honored to do it. So that should be very interesting. I'm very grateful for him and what he's done for the neuromuscular community, for sure.
You'll see how gentle you are with us and be excited to do it now.
Hopefully, I hope so. And so obviously charities and advocacy groups play a huge part in disabled people's lives. And Alex, I'll go to you for this. What are some of the charities and organizations that have helped you throughout your life?
I'm not sure. I mean,
some of the equipment, maybe.
Yeah, FSCD, I guess, and Children's Hospital. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So there's one thing maybe I can help you. So Alex has been getting for CP for kids. So he was a couple of times he's been getting an adaptable bicycle that he's been able to use, which is pretty cool. The Sledge Hockey Foundation, which I mean, obviously we pay our entry fees when Alex was playing sledge hockey, but I mean, those people that are raising money to get the equipment, get the ice times for all these kids to go out and have fun are really important.
Yeah.
And then you have some faith-based stuff that you've given to money to in the past, and it's and some hospital stuff that you've given to recently.
Yeah.
The good thing about the residual checks from our friends at Canadian Tire, it's like from doing the commercial, Alex gets to sit down not only with the family, but on his own every year to decide maybe how he wants to help out a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely cool to hear. That's awesome that first skate program is incredible. Like you see the commercials all the time, what they do, and very helpful with the LGBTQ, the disabled community, like other racial groups, they help Indigenous people. Like it's really cool to see all the groups that they really do help. But mainly the disability groups, but it's just really cool to see. And so obviously this question won't be on every podcast, but it will be until COVID's over. So obviously with COVID over the last 11 to 13 months, it's been difficult for the disabled community. What do you two think are some good ways to keep raising awareness while life is sort of on hold?
I was planning on restarting my YouTube channel and I had like I did a presentation for the end of grade 6, so last year, and like basically just it's basically like what some words people say, like handicapped for one, and like the history of it, and like that. I did a survey online, got about 200 people on it, and did an audit on my school and just experiences. I also did interviews with David Legg, who were the other ones? I forget. I did 3 interviews. Devin, who was the other one again? The guy that made an app or whatever.
I forget now. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Wait, you can.
Maybe Clay will edit this out.
Yeah.
Well, I can also link your YouTube channel if you're comfortable with that in the bio if you want. That would be cool. I'd be honored to do that. And well, as a disabled person yourself, what are some of the things you've been doing to keep busy during COVID?
Lots of video games.
That's me too. I stream actually. I play video games on my Facebook page, and that's been one of my main things other than the podcast, because there's really nothing else to do other than watch movies. I binge watched Mandalorian. That's about it.
I watched, since Disney Plus came out, I watched all the Star Wars timeline TVs and movies, nearly at Infinity War in MCU.
Yeah. Behind the scenes of the Mandalorian gallery and stuff like that. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Clayton, because when you talk about it, so Alex has not been in school since September. So he's been doing this combination of being online.
March.
Oh, since last March. That's true. Yeah. So not only since last March, but started this school year, even though classes are back in Alberta for the most part. He hasn't been a part of that. And so it's tough. I think that those with a disability, some of the mental health issues cannot be not talked about. I think it's really important for our community to talk about it, to get support, and to just realize that, just like with our senior population, right? It's on some of our demographics, it's not just as easy as saying, oh, you get to stay home. I mean, Alex hasn't been able to see his friends as much. He plays video games with them, but as we know, that's very different social interaction when you're yelling at each other across a streaming platform, right? So, but it's tough, and it's so anytime we can talk about it, anytime we can find resources to support or other things to do, like being on a podcast with you, we're excited to do it.
Definitely, and that's about all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it, and it will be posted on Friday, so you can share it with all your friends and family, and I look forward to staying in touch with you guys. This has been really cool, and you guys take care of yourselves, and all the best this season. We're division rivals this year, so it should be interesting.
Exactly. We won't hold it against you though, Clay.
Definitely not. And I'm a Flames fan anyway. I've got some Alberta buddies, so they're my close second Canadian team, unless they're playing the Leafs. That's about my only exception.
There you go. No,
all right, guys.
Thanks for talking with us, and be well.
Yeah, for sure. You too, guys. Take care, and like I said, all the best.
Perfect. Bye-bye now.
Bye.